Hello everyone and welcome to the lecture on AWS Migration Hub. So this lecture will contain all these topics. What is AWS Migration Hub? AWS Migration Hub Discovery Tools, Migrate, AWS Migration Hub Strategy Recommendations, 7 Common Migration Strategies, Refactor Spaces, and AWS Migration Hub Orchestrator. So migration, just to give you an overview. So we have discovery, migration and track. There are 3 major phases. So discovery and migration I have covered, and tracking is we will again track it within the same AWS Migration Hub console. And finally some strategy like what are the migration strategy recommendations. Then I'll talk briefly about there are 7 general common strategies, and within Migration Hub there are 2 components called Refactor Spaces and Hub Orchestrator. And these 2 components I'll be covering in this particular lecture. So what is AWS Migration Hub? AWS Migration Hub provides a single place to manage and track all your application migrations, making the process more organized and streamlined. Migration Hub allows you to discover and inventory your existing servers, helping you assess your current infrastructure before starting the migration. You can visualize the connections and status of servers and databases that make up each application you are migrating, providing clear overview of your portfolio. The service enables effective planning and tracking of application migrations, allowing you to manage this entire migration process efficiently. Regardless of the migration tool you use, Migration Hub provides visibility and tracking for all your applications. You can choose to start migrating right away and group server as you go, or you can first discover server and then group them into applications. Migration Hub tracks the status of each application migration, and this gives you clear visibility into the process and allows you to monitor the progress. The service offers real-time updates on the status of each application migration, enabling you to make informed decisions based on current progress. Migration Hub currently supports migration status updates from 2 key migration services, ensuring compatibility with these essential tools. And these 2 migration services are AWS Database Migration, this is for databases, right? And AWS Application Migration Services service, this is for application. So these under the hood will be working for this main boss, AWS Migration Hub, and you can track your application as well as the database migration overall status and discovery and tracking, and it has some more components which I'll talk about. So AWS Migration Hub, first is discover. So let's see what are the discovery tools available. First one is Application Discovery Service Agentless Collector. The Agentless Collector is an on-premises application that gathers information about your on-premises environment without requiring agents. It collects server profile information such as operating system, number of CPUs, amount of RAM, and server utilization matrix. The Agentless Collector is installed as a virtual machine VM in your VMware vCenter server environment using an Open Virtualization Archive OVA file. Then we have AWS Application Discovery Agent. The Discovery Agent is AWS software that you install on your on-premises servers and virtual machines VMs. It captures system information, system configurations, running processes, and details of the network connections between systems. The Discovery Agent supports most Linux and Windows operating systems and can be deployed on physical on-premises servers, Amazon EC2 instances, and virtual machines. Then next tool is Migration Evaluator Collector. Migration Evaluator is a migration assessment service that assists in creating a directional business case for AWS cloud planning and migration. It helps you evaluate the feasibility and benefits of migrating to AWS, providing valuable insights for decision making. Migration Hub Import. With Migration Hub Import, you can import information about your on-premises servers and applications into the AWS Migration Hub console. The imported data includes server specification and utilization data, enabling a comprehensive view of your infrastructure. You can use this imported data to track the status of your application migrations within Migration Hub, ensuring smooth and organized migration process. Next important phase is actual phase, which is the migrate phase. So I'll cover this in more details. So step 1, connect migration tools to Migration Hub. AWS Application Migration Service is the primary service recommended for lift and shift migrations of your applications to AWS. AWS Database Migration Service is used for migrating databases, and these tools communicate directly with Migration Hub. Then step 2, migrate using connected tools. So in the Migration Hub console, you can go to migrate section, and after connecting, wherein you authorize an AWS migration tool, link it to its respective console. So basically you link both these inside the Migration Hub and you give it authorization. Once you have linked to the tools console, you have to follow the specific migration instructions for your selected tool, as the actual migration process happens outside of the Migration Hub. After initiating your application's migration, you can return to Migration Hub console to monitor the progress. Then third step is group servers as an application. So once the migration tool has started, the migrated servers will be listed in Migration Hub based on the updates sent from the tool. You can select these servers and group them together as applications within Migration Hub for better management. And it is important to note that the server information communicated to Migration Hub from the migration tool may not be as detailed as the data collected from a dedicated discovery tool. So I'm not covering too much in detail about application migration service and database migration service, because there are separate lecture for these two services. So you can go through those lectures, and this will just talk about what we'll be doing here in this console. Basically authorize these two, and from here you can trigger these two to start migrating the application. So after discovery phase, second phase, we will do the actual migration, and herein these tools will have their own agents for application as well as discovery. They will do the actual job of migrating. So AWS Migration Hub strategy recommendations. Migration Hub strategy recommendations. So this is also a component within Migration Hub which have some strategies and some recommendations. So this helps you plan migration and modernization initiatives by offering recommendations for viable transformation paths for your application. It can analyze your server inventory, runtime environment, and application binaries for Microsoft IIS, Java Tomcat, and JBoss applications to generate anti-pattern reports. Strategy recommendations generates reports identifying anti-patterns for applications running on Microsoft IIS, Tomcat, JBoss. You can configure your source code to allow strategy recommendations to perform detailed source code and database analysis of your applications. Strategy recommendations compares the analysis with your business goals and the transformation preferences of the applications and the database you have provided. Based on the analysis and comparison, it recommends the most effective migration strategy for each of your applications. It suggests appropriate migration and modernization tools or services that you can use for the transformation. Strategy recommendation identifies application incompatibilities and anti-patterns that need to be resolved for a specific migration or modernization option. It recommends migration and modernization strategies for rehosting, replatforming, and refactoring with associated deployment destinations, tools, and programs. So some example: rehosting on EC2 using application migration service. And one example recommendation is, for example, straightforward rehosting on Amazon EC2 using application migration service. Another example could be, another optimized recommendation might include replatforming application to containers using AWS App2 Container. And third example could be refactoring to open source technologies like .NET Core and PostgreSQL. So strategy recommendation may also recommend refactoring to these technologies such as .NET Core and PostgreSQL. So I will list these seven common migration strategies one by one. First one is refactor / re-architect. So move an application and modify its architecture by taking full advantage of cloud native features to improve agility, performance, and scalability. This typically involves porting the operating systems and binaries, An example could be migrate your on-premises Oracle database to the Amazon Aurora PostgreSQL compatible edition. So herein you have to completely refactor or re-architect your application or your database. Second is re-platform, which is lift and reshape. So move an application to the cloud and introduce some level of optimization to take advantage of cloud capabilities. An example could be migrate your on-premises Oracle database to Amazon Relational Database RDS for Oracle in the AWS cloud. So this one is less, there less amount of changes. So first one we are doing complete changeover or makeover. Second one we are using still the same database engine but using the RDS within AWS. Third is repurchase, which is called as drop and shop. So switch to a different product. Typically by moving from a traditional license to a SaaS model, software as a service. So example, migrate your customer relationship management CRM systems to salesforce.com. So this is an example of repurchase. So you drop the old technology and you shop for a new one. Fourth is rehost, which is lift and shift. Move an application to the cloud without making any changes to take advantages of cloud capabilities. An example could be migrate your on-premises Oracle database to Oracle on an EC2 instance in the AWS cloud. So you are just lifting and shifting. Because in cloud you don't have the actual hardware control, so you are saying just take EC2. So you can have some option like on demand or a 1 year commitment or 3 year commitment, but pretty much you are using the same technology as it is, but you are just lifting and shifting to the cloud. Fifth one, relocate, where example could be hypervisor level lift and shift. So you are relocating. So move infrastructure to the cloud without purchasing new hardware, rewriting applications or modifying your existing operations. This migration scenario is specific to VMware Cloud on AWS, which supports virtual machine VM compatibility and workload portability between your on-premises environment and AWS. You can use the VMware Cloud Foundation technologies from your on-premises data centers when you migrate your infrastructure to VMware Cloud on AWS. So an example could be relocate the hypervisors hosting your Oracle database to VMware Cloud on AWS. So there is a specific service, VMware Cloud on AWS. So this one is talking about that particular service. So most companies they use VMware, so they can just go to the cloud and use the same VMware on cloud. Next strategy, sixth one is retain, which is to revisit. Keep applications in your source environment. This might include applications that require major refactoring and you want to postpone that work until a later time, and legacy applications that you want to retain because there is no business justification for migrating them. And seventh one is to retire, decommission or remove applications that are no longer needed in your source environment. Okay, now there is an important component, refactor spaces within Migration Hub. AWS Migration Hub refactor spaces serves as the starting point for incrementally refactoring applications to microservices in AWS, helping reduce risk when developing applications into microservices or extending existing applications with new microservice based features. Refactor spaces helps reduce the complex tasks associated with building and operating AWS infrastructure for incremental refactoring, which allows you to focus on modernizing your applications. Using refactor spaces minimizes risks when converting applications to microservices or adding new features. A refactor spaces environment provides the necessary infrastructure, multi-account networking and routing capabilities needed for the incremental modernization. With refactor spaces environments, you can transparently add new services to an external HTTPS endpoint, making it easier to integrate and access these services. Refactor spaces bridges networking across AWS accounts, enabling legacy and new services to communicate while maintaining the independence of separate accounts, AWS accounts. Refactor spaces creates resources in your account, giving you the flexibility to apply your own configurations, such as setting up an API gateway custom domains after the resources are created. Refactor spaces provides an application that models the strangler fig pattern, which is a technique for incrementally refactoring applications, and this helps in gradual transition to microservices. Refactor spaces application orchestrates Amazon API Gateway, Network Load Balancer, and resource-based AWS Identity and Access Management (IAM) policies. So this lets you transparently add new services to external HTTP endpoint. With refactor spaces, you can incrementally route traffic to new services, which allows for gradual transition and reduced risk. Refactor spaces periodically resolves DNS names for the services, keeping underlying architectures changes hidden from your application consumers. Okay, next important component is AWS Migration Hub Orchestrator, which is to simplify and automate your cloud migration journey. AWS Migration Hub Orchestrator streamlines the process of migrating servers and enterprise applications to the AWS cloud. You can get started quickly with predefined workflow templates that leverage AWS extensive migration experience and adhere to industry best practices, ensuring smooth, reliable, and accelerated migration process. Migration Hub Orchestrator automates manual tasks involved in migration process and orchestrates related migration tools from start to finish, and this reduces human error, saving time and ensuring consistency. You can tailor your migration workflow to your specific needs using customizable templates offered by Migration Hub Orchestrator, and this ensures a perfect fit for organizations' unique migration requirements and goals. You can stay informed about the progress of your migration with real-time status updates provided by Migration Hub Orchestrator. A Migration Hub Orchestrator supports a wide range of migration scenarios, including VM image import, SAP NetWeaver and HANA database migration, rehosting application on Amazon EC2, rehosting SQL Server databases on EC2 using native backup, and replatforming SQL Server databases to Amazon RDS, and replatforming applications to Amazon ECS on AWS Fargate for container-based deployments. So these are the capabilities and supported various various migration use cases. And that's all. Thanks for watching.